Most of our cities are in lockdown. Businesses, shopping centres, playgrounds, and church buildings are all currently closed. Most of society are confined to their homes. But there is activity as volunteers from every walk of life are coming together and working with ADRA to make a difference in their communities. And not just for the vulnerable or for those on the margins of society, but those most at risk at this difficult and challenging time. I spoke to Nathan Brown, author and editor for the Science Publishing Company. Nathan, you recently published a book with Peter Rohnfeldt on If Your Church is Closed, Be the Church. What is the main message that the book is trying to convey?
Yeah, I mean, the title gives away the punchline pretty quickly. The focus is on, in this current situation where all of a sudden church buildings are closed, it is the opportunity for us to step out. It's a nudge for us to step beyond the church and actually live out what it means to be the church, whether it's in our own lives, in our own homes, but also in the community that is, at this time, there's so many needs around us. How can we respond in meaningful ways?
There's a reference to the early church and them experiencing the plague. What is that referring to there?
Yeah, there are a number of stories from early Christian history where plagues would sweep through some of the prominent Roman cities where the church was kind of this minority group in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. And the historian, it caught the attention of not just the historians, but also of leaders in the communities where the Christians, rather than just fleeing from town or hiding away in their own homes, were out on the streets seeking to serve, and they would lift up the people and nurse the people who are unwell. And that really got noticed. These people are different. These people are seeking to serve and to love in those practical ways. And so this was really where hospitals came from. The original word for hospital is similar. It comes from the same word, hospitality, where those early Christians would open their homes but also step out into the plague-ridden streets to serve people. And that was something that was a reality in those times that made such an impact in the differentiation of the early church in those early times.
Nathan, what do you think is our first duty and our first call as a community of believers during this time?
Yeah, I think the Bible calls us to love. That's the greatest of these, out of faith, hope and love. And we need the other two in a time like this, but our first call is to say, well, how can we love the people around us? How can we love our communities? How can we support those who are seeking to help others? How can we help people in need at this time?
Why do you think so many communities are struggling during this time, especially the Christian communities?
It's one of those fascinating things. We've said for so long that the church isn't a building, and even that the church isn't just something you do once a week. But I think we've been really challenged by this experience where suddenly we don't have a building, we don't have that time to get together once a week. So we have to say, well, what is it that is core to our faith? What is our identity as people who follow God in this time and this place? And I think that's been a challenge for us. It's shown how much despite what we've said a lot, how much we have relied on buildings and programs and some of these things. But the real opportunity, and we've seen some churches that have really thrived in this moment, is to step outside of that and to reimagine what faith looks like and perhaps some of the things that we should have been doing all along.